The case of Robert Chambers, the puppy killer. Robert Chambers was a 20-year-old man who murdered the 18-year-old Jennifer Levin in cold blood in 1986. But despite all the evidence the court has against him, he got released from Rikers Island jail on a $150,000 bond. Robert Chambers was not the typical stereotype criminal. He was handsome with blue eyes and dark, thick hair. Chambers, like any young man, he loved to party, but he was deep in trouble most of the time. Chambers' dark personality was from being a heavy drinker to a drug abuser. Background of a killer. Robert Chambers, born in a hardworking family, his father was Robert Chambers Sr., who was a video cassette distributor and later a credit manager. The mother, Phyllis Chambers, was a private nurse. Robert Chambers Jr.'s parents got divorced when he was a small child. Chambers went to live full-time with his mother. When he was 14 years old, he was already hooked up into drugs. Chambers was addicted to heroin. He was suspected to use 10 to 12 bags of heroin per day. Was very well educated. He attended some of the premier prep schools in New York City and in the Connecticut area. He attended a private university in Boston, and therefore the media named him the Private Killer. However, all this education never reinforced Chambers' lack of morals. Chambers only lasted one semester in the Boston University before he got kicked out. He was a drug supplier for his classmates in college, but also in middle school. He used to steal things from his rich friends and neighbors. Authorities estimate up to $70,000 that he stole from some friends and neighbors so he could buy his drugs, especially cocaine. For his theft, Robert never received jail because his mother promised to put him into rehab. Linda Fursten, the retired head of the Manhattan District Attorney for the Sex Crimes Unit, told the New York Post that, "I have always believed that if he has gone to jail for the credit card theft and the thousands of dollars he illegally charged, or had stayed for the required amount of the time at the house on them, then Jennifer Levin would have been alive today." The murder of Jennifer Levin. On the night of August 25th in 1986, Chambers and Jennifer Levin met at the Dorian Red Bank in the Manhattan Upper East Side location. It was not the first time that they had met. Robert Chambers and Jennifer Levin went on a few times on days before Jennifer died. According to the media, Chambers and Jennifer left the Dorian around 4:30 a.m. on the next morning. Chambers and Levin left the bar as they walked through the Central Park area. Around 6:20 a.m., the deceased body of the 18-year-old Jennifer Levin was laying behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It was found by a man who was cycling near the area. The body was with signs of struggle and strangulation. The next day, police placed a visit to Robert Chambers' home because they knew that he was a friend with the victim. They went there knowing that they would find the killer right in front of them. Robert opened the door and the police immediately noticed the deep, fresh scratches on his face, hands, and some other also found on his chest. At first, when police asked about the suspicious mark, Chambers said that they were from his cat. Later, at the police station, while he went into interrogation, Chambers admitted that he did not mean to hurt Levin, but he ended up killing her. Police discovered later that Chambers was at the crime scene the whole time when police went to get the body. Robert Chambers said that all happened when he and Levin were having rough sex, and after she consented to sex, she assaulted him and went her way on top of him, then grabbed his testicle painfully. He throws her away and she ended up laying dead in the ground next to a tree. Chambers claimed that he got frozen and scared, so he did not call the police or ask for any help. While on bail, a month before the trial, Chambers was recorded twisting the head of a doll, and the head popped off. What Chambers said on the video, "My name is Oops, I think I killed it." They were deliberating for 9 days, and after 3 months of testimony and evidence, because the jury was not convinced that Robert was guilty despite all the evidence that pointed against him. Jury failed to reach a final verdict, and the 12th member of the panel went deadlocked. Levin's mother couldn't believe what was happening. Chambers found the opportunity to strike a deal, and he pleads guilty to the lesser crime of first-degree manslaughter and ended up behind bars for 5 to 15 years in prison. While behind bars, Chambers never followed the rules on jail. When he was inside, he received 27 disciplinary actions. Some of the rules that he broke were because of weapons and drug possession, assault, and for disobeying orders. Chambers was released in 2003, but he was soon charged with possession of controlled substance and driving with a suspended driver license. Roberts pled guilty after being released. He once again spent 100 days in jail. He got a girlfriend while he was in jail. Sean Covell was girlfriend of Robert Chambers since before the trial began for killing Jennifer Levin, and they lived together after he got out of jail. In October 2007, investigators witnessed heavy drug trafficking from his apartment. He and his girlfriend Sean Covell sold a quarter kilo of drugs to undercover cops, but Chambers was not working alone this time. His girlfriend also was involved in the charge. Both were caught and charged with drug distribution, and both were charged with drug possession for heroin and cocaine. Sean Covell was always faithful to Robert. She visited him every week for the 15 years he was in prison for killing Levin. Covell pleads guilty to criminal assault, and it was given probation, while Chambers received a higher sentence. Just after 5 years of being released for murdering Jennifer Levin, Robert Chambers landed back to jail. This time on September 2, 2008. He went back for 19 years and 4 months. He will be eligible for parole in 2024. If the parole is approved, Chambers will be 57 years old. According to Fox News, Chambers, who is jailed without bail, has pleaded not guilty to the drug charge. His lawyer has said he plans to present a psychiatrist's defense to fight charges that could send him to prison for life. There is even a docu-series from AMC called The Preppy Murder, Dead in Central Park, that explains the process, how he killed Jennifer Levin, and also how he got in jail. The relationship between Robert Chambers and the philosopher we have read in class. Like Chambers, Rakolnikov, no one believed that Robert Chambers could be responsible for committing the crime. Dostoevsky's book, Crime and Punishment, because Rakolnikov was a good person and had good feelings. Nobody thought that he could commit a crime or do something bad to another person. But Robert, because of the family he came from and his physical appearance, and also his education. When Chambers was arrested for the second time with Covell, it reminded me when Sonia and Rakolnikov confessed his sin. But Sonia made sure Rakolnikov confessed his wrongdoing to the law to receive a punishment, and Sonia went to visit him in Siberia. Sean went also to visit Robert every week until he was living there for 15 years. But instead, she did not make Chambers to say the truth, to tell the truth to the law. Instead, she committed the crime with him. In relation with Nietzsche's theory and the genealogy of moral, where the philosopher recognized the difference between the good and the bad, which is something that Chambers may lack of in all these years of being in and out, back in jail. Do you think Robert Chambers repent for killing Jennifer living La Reconica? Do you think that Chambers will be able to divide the line of doing right or wrong after he gets out of jail? Do you think Robert Chambers received the right punishment for his deed? Does Chambers' personality fit in the ego or superego?